Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
All right. Raw Reunion. We just lived through Raw Reunion. Well, there's just a ton to talk about. We saw a bunch of stuff tonight. A lot of legends returning, doing stuff. I don't know what or why sometimes. Some of it was a little just whatever. It's just stuff happening just to do stuff. But hey, whatever. We'll definitely get into it. We'll break it down piece by piece. Definitely some successful legend segments. Definitely some questionable legend segments. And definitely just some bad legend segments. But it's Raw Reunion. And yeah, we got to talk about this. Okay. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat room before we even get into this, I guess. It's just like, I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just like a whole bunch of stuff happened and we got to figure out how to talk about it. It's like,
yeah. I mean, after you introduce the chat, I have a kind of something just general to say about the whole thing.
All right.
Because that Billy Hefner and I were talking about that I think that most of the listeners would agree with.
Okay.
As far as how to view this show.
Oh, cool.
Or how, most people may have viewed it.
Right. Okay. All right. I am interested to hear that. I'm just closing out some windows because I have too many things open. I always forget that I open up a gazillion windows when I do these Raws.
Well, you have to. Yeah.
There's just some stuff that I just forget. But I believe in the chat room, I did see Daniel Schell in there. I know that. So hello to Daniel. Hello to James Lasarenza, who put up some beautiful photos of the stuff that's going on at Camp Promise.
Yes.
If everybody remembers, when we do the Crimbus episode every year, we bring in donations. And what happens with those donations is they go to this thing called Camp Promise. And James makes sure that all the stuff goes there, and it's a great, awesome thing. He put up some photos on the Wrestleview Media page. If you're not a member of Wrestleview Media, please go on and check that out. But can everybody see me? I don't know if that just cut out. I don't think I cut out, but it doesn't say I did. But I know while I was closing that stuff, I think I might have had some buffering issues. But could everybody still hear me while I was talking? Just give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay, so James does some great things at Camp Promise. Just the pictures were very inspirational, very sweet. I enjoyed that, seeing them all. We got Billy Hefner in the chat room tonight. We got Graham Costigan Cripps in the chat room. Hey, guys. Hey, Nafis Sadat, our dear friend Nafis Sadat. Quentin Walters in their chat room, our number one fan. Gil's fan. Gil's in the chat room tonight. Wow, we got a lot of people here. Mr. V. All right. It's doing the Tedesco baby buffer, but everybody could hear me, I hope. Ed Hamilton. Yeah, right. Cool. Yes. So, and just keep saying hi. If we missed you, just keep going. We'll catch up to you eventually. Okay. Raw Reunion. Okay, so the video got stuck, but the audio was still going.
Oh,
That's
good.
Also, we definitely had a storm in the area tonight too. So whenever that happens, things get a little weird. I know that for sure. Okay, let's take a look at the Twitter and see what everybody thought of it. If I can even get there right now, everything's just going super slow right now.
Want me to get to it?
No, that's okay because I want to show it on the screen. Okay, here it comes. Everything's taken 15 years today. Of course. Only one of the bigger Raws of the year, and I can't get everything going here. Oh, well. All right. The poll, I just wanted to say to everybody real quick, the poll, when I first put it up, I guess a bunch of curmudgeons just bum rushed the thing, and it was, really low. But it seems like the real people are coming around now. 62% thumbs up for Raw Reunion from Tampa. Okay. So we'll see if we agree with that by the end of this. I don't want to commit to anything because sometimes I'll say I liked something and then I talk myself out of it.
Yeah, I can't commit right away.
Okay. Let's see. So this show kicks off with John Cena coming to the ring.
Wait, can I just say what I was going to say before?
Oh,
that
yeah.
Billy and I were kind of talking about. I think the reason why, like, him and I both agree that we were really excited for it. You know, like, when you get legends coming and you have particular legends, like the big ones, like Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, like, those are the type of people you can get into the category and get really, really excited about. You know, they don't really have to do a whole lot, but just their presence alone is enough. But there's some people who, like, they're not healthy enough to wrestle, obviously, and they can't get in the ring. So it's like, you would like to have seen more of, like, in-ring action with the legends and the people of today, like the Raw roster today.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I think
I can agree with that.
And I think that that's why, like, and then there was just so many randoms that were, like, legends.
Yeah.
That, you know, that we'll discuss about when Sami Zayn was like, you're not legends. Like, and I have to agree with them. The people that he was talking to weren't particularly legends in my book.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's just some random people who popped up that I'm just like, can we classify them as legends or just, like, alumni? Like, I rather almost use the word alumni than legendary.
Yeah, there was definitely just some people, like when Sami Zayn said, yes, these are just people that just happen to be there. Yeah, like Caitlyn, Eve Torres, Santino. Like, Santino is definitely a great comedic figure. Legend. I like what is a legend? I guess
to me, a legend's like a Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, like those are legends.
Right. Yeah, those are legends. James Last Friends Melina is a legend. I guess Alicia got out the if Alicia was advertised, Alicia Fox we're talking about. Alicia was advertised as a legend. So the fact that WWE is advertising her as a legend, does that mean that she is just they're totally done with her on the active roster?
I have no idea.
Is that what that means? I
don't know. But then she was talking about, like, oh, I'm gonna wear this for SummerSlam, like her hat. So I'm not
right.
So it was very confusing.
It was odd. Yeah, there were certain things that were definitely odd about it.
But that was just the tone of the night. That was just kind of like how our perspective was when Billy and I were talking about it. We were just kind of had that notion of, like, no doubt there was stuff that was entertaining. It was exciting.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that, because there's not a lot of in-ring competition, it's like, and you know, when we were talking about with SummerSlam coming up, you just wish, like, this, sometimes it felt like this Raw was a little bit of a waste because it's like, you really should be focusing on the build to SummerSlam. But USA Network wanted this, so they had to do it.
Yeah.
So
yes, USA Network definitely wanted something to pop a rating because they're not happy with the way things are going. You know, ratings wise, the big drops on certain hours. You know, they usually get a nice post pay-per-view bump. You know, like after Extreme Rules, the numbers were definitely, like, way up after Extreme Rules, especially the curiosity of the Brock Lesnar situation, stuff like that. But I think this is a twofold thing. I think, yeah, USA definitely wanted this, and they had a absolutely stinging article come out in Variety this morning about WWE and how basically they're giving their report to their investors this coming Thursday for quarter 2. And for quarter 1, they came in under projection. Yeah, granted, I think they projected themselves that they were going to make $198 million in revenue for the first quarter of the year, and they wound up at 184, which still, it's like, you know, 198 million or 184 million. To us, that sounds like, oh, wow, they still have $184 million. To the stock market, that's not a good thing. You know, they want to see you meeting or exceeding, you know, not coming under. And the excuse then was, we're missing Roman Reigns. We're missing, you know, Seth Rollins couldn't go. Becky Lynch, we had her on a storyline injury. And so there was a lot. Kevin Owens was out. Sami Zayn was out. We had a lot of superstars out. Well, now we have these people back. And actually, Variety put up this table of, like, how long these people have been back and how the ratings haven't moved at all. In fact, they've actually gone down. So Variety just basically said, like, Vince is going to have a lot of explaining to do on Thursday. And Variety is not like, it's it's not like some garbage website, and you can quote me on this, a garbage website like Ringside News or something like that. Just ratings are down, world is coming to an end. No, Variety is a legitimate, not ringsidenews.com garbage piece of crap publication. Variety is legit. And if they come out and say stuff like that, you can be damn sure that it was well researched and double checked. They know what they're talking about, and that's a pretty stinging piece, especially because Fox and USA are spending $480 million or something like that on television just in the next year on WWE. So yeah, these ratings are an issue, and I think because of that Variety piece, and also knowing that Vince would have to explain anyway whether that piece came out or not, this Raw reunion serves as a twofold thing. It'll make USA happy because it's definitely going to pop a rating. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if it'll get to 3 million. Maybe it will. I don't know if the luster of the Legends is worn out because they've used the Legends as a crutch for so long. But it also will pop a rating so that they can go on Thursday and say, well, look, I know that things have been a little lean, but look, we hired Paul Heyman, we hired Eric Bischoff, and look at this rating. We're turning it around. It's getting turned around. The situation is getting better. That's what I think of this. I guess it's a little bit of a conspiracy notion or something like that. But I think it's a twofold thing. I think that it's something to make USA happy, and it's something to kind of say to the stockholders, hey, don't be afraid of us. Things aren't bad. The boogeyman is still in the closet. You know what I mean?
Even though he was out today.
The boogeyman was definitely out today. Yes. Anyways,
I just wanted to say that before we actually delve into.
And I definitely wanted to say that about the Variety article, because the Variety article for today is very much the elephant in the living room. It's definitely there. Variety is an insider trade publication for media folks. James Lazarenza just saying. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next week, for Raw. And a quick programming note for our post-Raw show. We will not be on the air next week. This Friday, the 26th of July. You want to tell everybody what that day is?
It's our wedding anniversary.
That's what it is. I remembered. Yes, it's our wedding anniversary, July 26th, our 4-year anniversary. So we will be on vacation. So we won't be around, okay? So we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Anniversary, baby moon,
all that stuff. So we'll be back in 2 weeks for post-Raw, number 47. No worries. But for right now, we're on 46. All right, I got the whole thing off that I wanted to say about Variety. I got you talked about our view, our view of the Legends. Let's talk about the actual show now.
Sorry, everyone.
Right. So the show opens up in a really good way with John Cena making his way to the ring. He's he got a massive pop, and massive even for Cena who lives in that area. But it was even funny for him when he goes, gee, all I needed to do was just go away and then come back and be part of Raw reunion. Now you guys like me. If I'd known that, I would have done that sooner. Good little thing. John Cena is, we have, and it's nice because we haven't seen Cena since WrestleMania when he did the Dr. Thugonomics thing. And we haven't seen him wrestle basically since January. I know there was supposed to be something with Cena and Lars Sullivan that never came to fruition. And with everything that's happened with Lars Sullivan this year, maybe that's a good thing. Between Lars just kind of like disappearing for a little bit, partly because I believe he disappeared, partly because of those tweets, those messages coming out that he posted years ago, those racist things and homophobic things. And then for those to come to light and he gets fined $100,000 and now he has a blown out knee. It's just, you know what? It's just for the best. Put the Lars thing on the back burner. That's okay. But Cena was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, got pulled out. He's been making movies. He's part of the Fast and Furious thing right now. But he still came back tonight. And if John Cena's there, you're guaranteed a money promo.
Absolutely.
And he gave it tonight. As usual, he's not involved in any programs with anybody. But John is always good at just kind of like quantifying what it means to be a superstar and really really putting over just how special it is and how, like, yeah, I may be doing other things, but wrestling is still just as important to me. And
I find for him in particular, he actually means that.
Oh, yeah.
He's not the type of person who's just saying that just to, blow smoke and just kind of like, he really genuinely means like, this is where my starting point is. This is my home. This is my passion, even though I'm doing other ventures right now. Because think about it. He's done so much for the company in general. He's paid his dues.
Oh, yeah.
He's allowed to venture off and kind of pick and choose if he does want to be like in a match with somebody, and like he's very well established, and he's well established as an actor now.
Right.
So if
he's picking up big steam.
If he wanted to retire as a wrestler, he could definitely just and be comfortable for sure.
No doubt. We actually have a really great John Cena story that I'll share real quick. In 2012, we went to a SmackDown. That was right before WrestleMania 28. So John Cena's getting ready to face The Rock for the first time. At the same time, I think John was filming a movie or something like that. He was doing something where he was out of well across the United States of America, far away, and it's SmackDown. So this is when the brand split was still going on. John Cena was never on SmackDown, hardly ever in 2011, 2012 for sure. And we're at this show. We see a pretty decent show, I thought. That was the show where Tony Chimmel totally, like, Zack Ryder was standing right in front of, or was it Lillian Garcia?
Lillian Garcia.
Okay, so it was Lillian Garcia was in the ring. Zack Ryder makes his entrance. This is when Zack Ryder was kind of over at the time. We'll talk about Zack Ryder tonight, that's for sure. Zack Ryder's in the ring. Lillian is looking directly at him. And she goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Swagger." We were like, what? It was the weirdest thing on earth. Oh my God, that was so weird.
That was so fun. She said it with such
conviction. It was
yeah,
like, wow. She was
Jack Swagger. And
she was
like,
so sure. She was positive she was looking at Jack Swagger. She was positive. And it was Zack Ryder.
It was Zack Ryder.
Those two do not look even close. So anyway, that's not the John Cena story. But John Cena, all the way across the country, imagine, gets on a plane to come to Newark, New Jersey to wrestle in the dark match on SmackDown. A dark match. He wasn't even on TV. There was no real purpose for John Cena to be there other than like, hey, we had you on the advertisement and, it'd be great if you showed up. And he showed up. That's what kind of guy John Cena is. So as much grief as everyone's given him through the years, he's gotten a lot of boos from the crowd. That's a guy who drops everything just to be at a show. It's
yeah.
When he was going full time in his prime, that's about as good as it gets for wrestling.
Absolutely.
John Cena right there. All right.
No, he cut a great promo tonight, and
cut a great promo. Yeah, like you said, he cut a great promo, and he said, I may not be, and he was getting teary eyed too for whatever. Oh, the Raw reunion, teary eyed, but he said, I may not be around as much as I used to be, but this is my heart and the fans. You are my family, and I'm just as excited to be standing in the ring as I was on day one, and that brings out the Usos. And this made the segment so awesome. I absolutely love this. The Usos come out and they're like, "Did you say day one? We know day one." And then they want to, try to do a little rap with John Cena. And, so they go, he declines. And they say, "But, I thought we came to see the doctor. And who's this?" And then Jey Uso goes, "Oh, this is the guy that left us for the movie business." And now Cena gets in the ring. He's the doctor of thugonomics. And he goes, "Respect for calling me out, but ain't no way I'm getting busted. Y'all look just like your mugshots. How was it getting arrested?" Oh, no, bested. Damn it, I screwed up the rap. But you get the point. It was awesome. That was such a great little thing. And then he goes, "Ain't no way I'm getting bested. Y'all look just like your mugshots. How was it getting arrested?" And then one of them goes, "Shout out to Hillsborough County." I was like, oh my God, this is so weird.
And only John Cena can get away with that. I feel like anybody else, they would be so mad that he brought that up, but that was really clever.
Yeah, they were pretty cool with it. The Usos, they were just fine. They seemed like they were having a blast with all that going on. And He goes, now everybody on your feet. Let me hear you make some noise. That was fun. I got to bounce. Y'all know you can't see me. And the Usos say, hold on a second. We're bringing out our daddy, Rikishi. And Rikishi. I didn't know Rikishi's gimmick was rapping. I knew it was dancing. But Rikishi, he stuck to his gimmick. I didn't know where this was going at first. And he wanted Cena to dance with him. The thing that stunk about this is that at the end of the day, so Rikishi comes out. It's John Cena, the Usos. They're all standing in line. They're all getting ready to dance. The Revival cuts them off. And for whatever reason, like, talk about random, Devon Dudley is accompanying the Revival to the ring just because legends. See, this is like one of those things where it's like, why? Like, totally just like, what is this for?
I don't know.
And, you know... I think initially they had Bubba Ray Dudley there, but I think he pulled one of the fans in the back and was trying to intimidate him, so they didn't let him come out. So,
oh my God!
But you know how it is.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, we never got John Cena dancing with the Usos and Rikishi. We didn't even get Rikishi dancing at all. Instead, we got for the 976,000th time the Revival versus the Usos, with Devon Dudley as the heel manager and Rikishi just kind of being there. No sting faces, no dancing. It was just this was a big letdown. But I thought the opening segment with John Cena rapping, that was fun. The match with the Usos and the Revival, we've seen it a million times, and it's always good, but we've seen it a million times.
Yeah, and that's that. Like, there's really nothing more to say, only because the fact that match has happened so many times, it's like, how many times can you comment on it? How many times can you say, like, all right, decent match, both great competitors, but I'm sick of seeing it, you know? A little weird about...
just there.
Yeah, just there. And, but it was a fun little way to get Rikishi out there.
Yeah, but Rikishi's there to dance. Or do stink faces, something.
Yeah.
Anything.
I don't know. I thought we were going to get the dance at some point, but I don't know.
Well, Doug Lackey in the chat room. Hello, Doug. Doug says, at the end of the day, you weren't reminded of how old you are. I turn 40 next week. Wow. We got a lot of big things coming up end of July. Our anniversary, Doug's birthday.
Doug does not look 40
Doug does not look 40. I will say that. Even if he is 40, he doesn't look it.
Doug, you're doing something right because you do not look 40.
Well, Doug must be drinking from the fountain of youth, and I'm not sure if he knows which source that is, but one of them's working. So just keep drinking, and it'll all come together. It'll be just fine. Yeah, you definitely weren't reminded of how old you are, but you know what? You kind of are, because when you really think about it, God, Rikishi was like 9 trillion years ago, and he was moving like. I mean, he's a big dude anyway. He was moving super slow. No dance. I don't know. And Devon Dudley, this is where I was like, okay, is this what it's going to be like all night? They're just going to be putting random legends out. And for the most part, that kind of was what it was. Devon Dudley was out there, but James LaSarenza actually brought up a great thing. They should have sent him out as Reverend Devon. They should have had him come out to the gospel music. That would have been amazing, actually. If you have old Reverend Devon come out, I get it. You can't have Deacon Batista with you because he's out making movies. By the way, we saw Stuber. What would you grade that?
I like Stuber a lot.
We liked Stuber. It was really funny. Batista really knocked that one out of the park. But yeah, Reverend Devon would have made much more sense than heel random Devon Dudley. And I never, even when the Dudley boys were going, it was always Bubba and Devon. It wasn't like Devon was never truly the star of that team. So I'd rather have him come out as Reverend Devon and just throw everybody for a loop. And I think, by the way, Reverend Devon never got the due that he deserved. I think that could have been a great little thing.
Oh, and by the way, Wrestleview will be posting a story tomorrow about Devon Dudley appearing on The GOAT, which is Ronda Rousey's new show on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
So look out for that. So that
no doubt. No doubt. Oh, and oh my God. And here's another missed opportunity. Now Doug brings up good old Brother Love. Bruce Pritchard works for the company. How about Reverend Devon and Brother Love? Oh my God. That would have been something. That would have been. Oh,
Doug, you should have written tonight. You should have written for the Legends tonight.
You know what? I
I nominate
Thumbs
Doug.
down. I hate this show. It was terrible.
I nominate Doug to write for the Legends.
Doug should be booking the Legends.
So Doug, this is what you're gonna do. If you can say in the chat the whole time, anything that you didn't like with the Legends that they did with, tell us what they could have done. Because I liked everything he's saying right now.
Yeah, so far so good. Well, he said brother love. I put them together. So we're all kind of working together. But anyway, okay. Doug is very sharp. The one thing I liked about this match. Now we've seen it 476 trillion times. But this whole entire edict about not wrestling during commercials, well, for one night only, I hope it becomes more of a mainstay. They did the picture-in-picture thing like they do on SmackDown. They've never done it for Raw before, so this is a first. They had the Usos Revival go through a commercial break, but it was picture-in-picture, so you didn't really miss much, and it got us through without having to do the goddamn 2 out of 3 falls crap and whatever contrived thing. Oh, Rikishi just gave Devon a stink face. Match is going to be paused and we'll start it right after the break. None of that stuff. So at least we got to have an actual match that had time to build and do something. So that's the one real positive about this, I would say. Okay. Let's see. All right, that's my bomb. Carry on with the show. Have fun, kids. Oh no, Doug's out of here. Sergeant Slaughter? Okay. Anyway, we go backstage. Here's some legends here. Alicia Fox is a legend. Just saying. Caitlyn. No reaction for Caitlyn. Dana Brooke, for whatever reason, was just existing there, I guess because they have to have somebody who's currently on the roster. News to me that Alicia Fox is a legend. Very much news to me. So they have Alicia Fox talking to Dana Brooke, and then Caitlyn is just kind of there, and when they panned the camera over to her, no reaction. Nobody knew who she was or really remembered. That was awkward.
That was really awkward. That was extremely awkward. And this is what I'm talking about. Like there were just people there just to be there. And she probably stood out. She was probably one of the more people who stood out the most to me of like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Because she was really like, her time in WWE was more
short.
Was short, and it was more her interactions with AJ Lee.
Yes.
And AJ Lee clearly was the star of that whole feud that they were having. And I know they were in NXT together, and they were on that show with NXT and everything like that, but she never really like connected with the crowd like that, and it clearly showed tonight because people were confused. Very confused when she popped up on the screen.
Yeah.
You know who Tori Wilson is.
But she didn't even get much of a reaction either.
No, but you still know her more than... She got more of a reaction than Caitlyn. Like, literally, the crowd was just like...
She's a WWE Hall of Famer.
She's like, who is this?
Yeah.
Santino Morello, obviously you know who that is.
Yeah, Santino... That was actually some good stuff with Santino. But I was watching that segment and I was like... Oh man! In the Me Too era, all like the Cobra rubbing the ladies.
But I'm like, well, what's going on with Caitlyn and Alicia?
Actually, I gotta tell you something. Just an aside. Speaking of like these like uncomfortable things that happen with the women on wrestling.
Okay.
I found myself just kind of flicking through the WWE network, and they're showing some classic SummerSlams or the most recent SummerSlams, just kind of gearing you up for SummerSlam. I found myself watching SummerSlam 2006 2 nights ago, and there was just a cringe-worthy segment with divas, and it's like, man, like it's so amazing how far they've come. Like,
yes,
seriously.
And
so basically, and I'll let you go. The segment was Layla L won the Divas Search competition. She walks in the locker room, and Trish Stratus and all the women in the locker room are, including the recently departed Ashley Massaro, are in the chat or are in the locker room. And Trish is like, "Oh, you think you can just win a competition and become a diva?" And she goes, "Well, actually, yeah, you can." And that was the thing. And then they took Layla into the shower, pulled up her skirt to reveal her wearing a thong, and they all started spanking her while just pouring water on her. Basically, it was just like. Oh, God, it was so cringy. Oh, my God. I can't believe stuff like that was on this television program at one point. Oh my God. But yeah, so like I guess like, you know, watching Santino rub the Cobra on Tori and Caitlyn. I'm sorry, Tori. Yeah, was it Tori and Caitlyn? Wasn't as bad.
And Alicia.
And I think at the end it was just Tori and Caitlyn. Or maybe not.
No, it was Alicia too.
Okay. And well, anyway, yeah, you're right. It was Tori and Alicia. That's who it was. And then Drew McIntyre walks up and goes, "Legends," and I was like, "You're right."
Yeah, really. I mean,
but man, like I can't get upset about the Cobra now after watching that. Jeez.
Now, and I'll talk about later when we talk about when Kelly won the 24/7 champion at that one point, about how much we evolved, because that whole referee thing with Melina, oh boy, like
yeah,
I was like, wow, we've really come a long way.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, Michonne Wall says no Trish and no Lita. Yeah, that's actually that was
Again,
a big
those are
glaring omission.
And those are legends.
Yeah, those are actual legends. James Lacerenza reminding us about HLA. I'm not going to tell you what those initials mean. I'll let you figure it out. Okay. Charlie Caruso backstage with R-Truth and Carmella. This is actually one of the highlights of the show.
Absolutely.
Was everything going on with the WWE 24/7 Championship. Essentially, it is he's talking about R-Truth is talking about, you know, the hijinks over at Comic-Con, and Renee Michelle walks up to R-Truth and they exchange words. Renee and Carmella exchange words, and then Drake Maverick rolls up R-Truth to win the 24/7 championship, and he runs off with Renee. Okay. Next out is The Godfather. And finally, I mean, a couple weeks ago, I'm not going to lie, I went a little nuts on Charlie Caruso. Would you say that's fair?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I went nuts on her because she's a robot and she has no personality and this and that.
Oh my God, but
well, tonight at least she showed a modicum of personality, dancing with the Godfather, who told her that she was on the hoe train. So
okay, but again,
Charlie Caruso's a hoe
even
now.
Renee and Corey were like, does she even know who that is?
Yeah.
Like
definitely not.
they definitely were just like, okay, the Godfather's gonna come out and you're gonna, you know, be moving your hands and dancing with him and talking about the hoe train. And she's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
She had no clue.
Yep.
So you had every reason to go off on her a couple weeks ago because that was.
Well, she's not a. I go off on her because she's a robot and, you know, she knows nothing about wrestling.
But that's what I'm saying. She doesn't know anything about wrestling. So that was just, I don't know. Yeah. Whatever.
All right.
I'm really like hating on the women tonight, and it's not good.
Well, these women didn't exactly put women in the best light.
I'm like the worst
when they were active.
I'm the worst women's advocate for this website.
Not really. Not really. Not really. Because like I said, these women didn't really do much to empower women. Like, how about like no Beth Phoenix, no Edge tonight? Like, it was very odd. Like the legends that they chose would be there. And
Beth Phoenix is, you know, showing us the pre-shows and.
But I guess it goes to show you just how much this thing was like thrown together. You know, in the sense that
maybe they couldn't come. Maybe Trish and Lita couldn't come.
Right, because they literally did just book this thing like a few weeks ago, like minimum.
That
so like
could
they
very
probably
well be why.
had some prior obligations,
exactly.
or vacations or whatever.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander. Now, last week Alexander goes over on Drew McIntyre, and it's like, you know, I see why they want to do it. I get all the comparisons. Oh, the Shelton Benjamin. Well, Shelton Benjamin kind of petered out too. He didn't really, you know, he went over on Triple H and then he petered out almost immediately. Still had good matches, but was never like really anything. And my thing was, if you're gonna put Alexander over, why don't you just start putting him over strong instead of, you know, putting against Drew McIntyre? Well, anyway, Drew McIntyre murdered him tonight. Got all of his heat back. Cedric Alexander's back to being a loser. I don't know where they're going with this, but
I think when you wrote in your tweet before about was this just so McIntyre can get his heat back, I do think that's what happened.
Yeah,
I think they just kind of had to like go on and like, oh wait a minute, whoops, And then we're like, we can't have him just like losing to Cedric Alexander clean the week before. Like,
I guess.
I don't know. But then again, I don't really know much. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's where the show starts getting fun. The Cedric Alexander thing was just like, whatever.
Moving on.
I knew this was going to happen.
Bye.
Just a whole bunch of nothingness. Drake Maverick hiding backstage and trying to quickly pack. He opens up a suitcase, see it filled with worms. The lights go red, and the boogeyman comes out, scares him. Drake Maverick falls back, and the lights come back on. Boogeyman's gone. That sends out Pat Patterson. What the hell is going on here? He basically stomps Drake Maverick a few times, holds himself up on a wall because he's very feeble, I guess.
Oh, poor Pat Patterson.
And pins him with 1 foot to win the 24/7 championship. So Pat Patterson is the new 24/7 champion, and my initial thought of horror was, please God, don't let this night end in an evening gown match with Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe to let us reenact one of the worst things I've ever seen in wrestling ever, and horrifyingly most memorable as well. I thought that's where it was going. Luckily, I was wrong, and Pat Patterson's
I'm very happy you were wrong.
Pat Patterson's like 1 trillion years old, so not a big deal. All right. Random legend sighting Christian on commentary for the next match. Lillian Garcia in the ring to do the ring announcing, where she was just there. I don't even know if she really did much of anything.
She announced.
Oh, she okay.
Yeah, she did.
All right. So the Viking Raiders killed Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins very easily. These guys were the Raw Tag Team Champions a couple months ago. How in this calendar year, in this decade, were Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins champions? Why does Zack Ryder, who they treat like a jobber, why do they give him like these like they just pick WrestleMania to give him like weird moments? Like he wins. Remember he won the Intercontinental Championship in Dallas a few years ago for absolutely no reason and lost it the next night on Raw
to the Miz.
And the returning Maurice. Like Zack, like he's a jobber. So like let's just use him accordingly. Don't give him big like these like stupid moments and then like just crush him. It devalues everything. It devalues the titles to just be, these guys, number one, they never even, I don't even think they ever defended their titles.
I don't know why you're talking about this.
I don't know either. I don't know. I was watching this match, and I was just like, how were these guys ever champions? And I was just, I was trying to reconcile it. That was my mistake. I'm moving on with my life.
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
Moving on with my life. Oh, God.
I'm actually very disappointed.
Why?
Because you gave, I timed you, did like 2 minutes devoted to that.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I felt like it was only like 40 seconds.
No, it was like 2 minutes.
Why are you timing me?
Because I wanted to see him. Like, really, he has this much to say about Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins.
Unbelievable. All right, so we got. Okay, this was probably one of my favorite segments of the entire night. Mike Kanellis is backstage and he's talking with Eve Torres, and they have like some locker room that's decorated with balloons and stuff. And I guess any legend that appears on Raw, all of a sudden they just find their way back there. All the other legends are just waiting for their 30 seconds of camera time, and then they'll join the party.
It's like the safe spot.
It's like you can't be in the room. You cannot be in the party unless you get involved in a random segment.
It's the base.
Yeah, it's the base. So he's talking with Eve Torres at the party, but I guess Eve was in the room and she shouldn't have been in the room because she wasn't in a segment yet. Anyway, Maria Kanellis comes up and she freaks out. Eric Bischoff then walks up, and that's all they used Eric for tonight, was saying that she can always come to SmackDown if she's unhappy. So, nudge, nudge. Eric Bischoff is the executive VP of
I was going to say, is he part of SmackDown?
Yeah, he's doing something with it. And if you read 47 different reports, they'll all tell you 47 different things Eric Bischoff is or isn't doing. Jesus Christ. Like no one, I try so hard to get wrestling media some respect. I try to, as the editor-in-chief right now, I'm trying to run everything in a respectful manner. And then you have Ringside News that just ruins everything. I'm not done with Ringside News tonight, by the way. I am not done with them. But that's why wrestling media just will never get respect. It just won't. Anyway, Maria yells at Mike and says that he should be rubbing lotion on her stomach to prevent her from getting stretch marks, and what happened to her modeling career because she's the breadwinner of the family, and she walks off.
I'm very proud of Maria tonight, though. She did a post today about how she's been having really horrible morning sickness. Girl, I could totally relate to you.
Oh, yeah.
So she's 12 weeks, by the way, everybody, pregnant. So she's about 3 months pregnant now. And she looked good. And the fact that she was able to dress up and even do 2 minutes of that, God bless her, because I could not even move.
Yeah.
And I looked like a wildebeest during that time. So.
Well, but hey, props to you. You still managed to do post Raw while all that stuff was going on too.
Yeah, but
so
I'm just saying.
Don't sell yourself short.
So she's been having really bad. So I don't know now because she's been really, really bad. So if it doesn't subside, I don't know if we're probably only gonna get these 2-minute segments because she.
Who cares?
Seriously.
Who cares?
I'm talking about the pregnant people here of America.
No one cares about Maria in this storyline.
Excuse me. I'm talking about the whole cause in general. I'm showing
what cause?
I'm showing pregnancy awareness. That we as women are really, empowering and we're strong and we get through things, and our bodies endure so much when we're pregnant.
Yes.
So I like the fact that Maria's shedding light on the pregnancy. Okay.
Got it. Cool. That was enlightening. Anyway, so the best part about this entire segment, Maria walks off. Ron Simmons walks up, looks at Mike with absolute disgust, grabs Jimmy Hart's microphone, and yells, "Damn!" That was amazing. That was.
See, it's not a Raw reunion without Ron Simmons doing something like that.
No, and for whatever reason. Of all the different ways, the different horrible ways that they've booked legends through the years, Ron Simmons is immune to anything awful. Somehow, doesn't matter which version of the writing staff of the creative team there is. This is creative team 46.9. They always manage to use Ron Simmons in a great way. And this was the perfect time to use him. It was just Mike just got emasculated again, and here he is, Ron Simmons, just to call attention to the obvious.
And he also saves every segment, even if something is not 100%
right.
That something was mediocre. He made it cool.
Right. I've seen some awful segments where I believe they were doing stuff with Mae Young and Moolah, and then they just brought out Ron Simmons. He's damn, that's how he. Constantly saving segments for the last 15 years. Ever since he retired, Ron Simmons is more over than he was when he was wrestling. That's amazing. Okay. We're backstage. AJ Styles. The club is now being called the OC, the original club, the only club, or whatever. I think it's original club. But
I think of the OC. I think of Orange County. So
yeah, I know. And I saw so many memes tonight of them saying and previously on the OC.
Yep, that's immediately my thought.
Yeah, I was like, this is probably not well thought out. It's kind of like when they were what was that thing, the page when Charlotte and PCO.
Oh, when it was Mandy Rose, Sonya, and Paige.
No. When Charlotte Flair first got called up, and remember they put them with weird managers. It was the team Charlotte, Paige, and Becky. Oh yeah, it was PCB or something like that. Oh
yeah,
and then that wound up being a drug or something like that, so they changed the name or whatever. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with this, but the OC, yeah, this is probably something that probably could be thought of.
It's probably a new writer.
Yeah, probably.
And they're oh, the OC.
Elsewhere backstage, we go backstage and see Pat Patterson laying down and shouting "Stooge." So we didn't actually see Pat get pinned, but he was pinned, and he was pinned by the Stooge, Gerald Briscoe. God. And I was watching this, and I was watching Gerald Briscoe celebrate with the 24/7 championship, and I'm like, wow, time is a cruel bitch. Gerald Briscoe looks ancient. Oh, my God. When I think about him when he was the Stooge over 20 years ago. My God. Anyway, also while I was watching that, number one, I was thinking, time, you are a cruel bitch. And then number two, I was thinking, how many people even remember the Stooges? How is this how does anybody remember this as a thing?
I feel hardcore fans remember, but that's about it.
That's it. So Briscoe's walking around. He's celebrating. He bumps into Kelly. She greets him with a hug and a kiss before kneeing him in the groin, and then she pins him to win the 24/7 championship.
What a heel, by the way.
Yeah, I know. So if you're counting at home, we have 4 title changes so far. We had Drake Maverick, Gerald Briscoe, Pat Patterson, and Kelly. 4 24/7 title changes so far. Samoa Joe in the ring. Samoa Joe, who has been pinned by everybody, including losing his most recent championship opportunity against Kofi Kingston. We are now once again, supposed to imagine Samoa Joe as a badass killer. Okay. PCO is Pierre Carl Ouellet. Thank you. PCB. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. That was Paige, Charlotte, and Becky. So Samoa Joe is saying, tonight we come together to in celebration for our reunion, the longest running weekly episodic television series going today. There's General Hospital too. He says that these shows are just an opportunity for the WWE universe, to put on the rose-colored glasses to indulge their ridiculous addiction to nostalgia, which I was like, true. And he goes, they should be watching him do what he does best, which is painting and brutality and sculpting and violence. Instead, you get the Usos and their daddy spitting limericks at John Cena, which actually didn't happen at all. So I don't know what show he was watching. But now Joe's supposed to be a badass. Roman Reigns comes to the ring, and he says, basically the Usos and Rikishi are his family, and, you're from the same island. You know what happens when you talk about family. Joe goes for a cheap shot. Reigns blocks it, punches him, but then Joe beats him around ringside area for a little bit, and then Reigns hits him with one Superman punch, and Joe goes to walk away, but then he accepts a match. The match happens. It happens in one segment. Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns. Not bad, but once again, Samoa Joe pinned clean with a spear, and I'm left wondering if they're ever going to do anything of substance with Samoa Joe.
I was bored.
Yeah.
I know you said it wasn't a bad match, and it wasn't, but I was just bored. Because I knew exactly what they were doing with this. I knew exactly when he was cutting that promo, acting like a total, badass. But I knew he was going to lose to Roman Reigns. So, I was just bored.
Yeah, I know.
And I like Samoa Joe, but I don't really know where they're going with this character at all. I don't know what the bigger picture is with him.
Well, it's just like, I get it. He's had his opportunities. Someone out there is like, well, Mike, he had a WWE Championship opportunity against Kofi Kingston and blah 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 blah. It's like, yeah, Samoa Joe. The way they portray him is as this killer, but all he ever does is cut a good promo and nothing happens, and he always gets pinned, and then he just fades to the background again. Like this guy, there's a finite amount of time you can have Samoa Joe. You want to look it up on your computer?
Yeah.
Look up how old he is, because I want to know how old Samoa Joe is.
Sure.
Because I'm pretty sure if he's not 40, he's close to it. You got to start using if you're going to use him, now's the time. And there's no reason not to use him, especially when everybody else is like, on the roster is
40,
kind of
exactly.
Yeah, he's 40. So everybody else on the roster is kind of like a cartoon character in a sense, and Joe actually has a legitimate look to him. Like, I thought the crowning achievement of him on the main roster was him facing Brock Lesnar, and I was like, God, this is the start. Even though he lost to Lesnar, this is the start that's going to push him up.
But see,
it never happened.
But see, here's the thing though: losing to Lesnar is not a bad thing.
Right.
That's somebody because he's a bigger.
No, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it could have been used as a catapult. Like, I took it to Brock Lesnar. I almost beat him.
But you just took the words out of my mouth. Like, that's what I mean. Like, so losing to somebody like Brock Lesnar is not by any means a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. So that is something to catapult your career and give you substance to your character and everything else. But after that, it's like, what are we doing? Like, what purpose are you serving? And then it's like you're losing these random matches on Raw, and I'm really supposed to believe you're going to win in a pay-per-view, and I don't know. I find the whole thing to be kind of just...
Well, initially I thought what they're doing was it's going to be Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Instead, they gave it away on free TV, and Reigns spins him clean. So what's the next move for Samoa Joe?
That's what I mean. I don't know.
When is he ever going to just have like consistent booking where he looks like a monster? Because you're not going to tell me that Samoa Joe can't have a good match.
He can have a great match.
You're not going to tell me that he's too old and can't do it, or that Vince doesn't like his body type and all this crap.
No, he's
a money promo.
He doesn't even have potential. He has it.
He's got a great look. Like I just don't get what the missing piece is here, other than just bad booking.
I think it's bad booking.
No, I know. I just don't get it. And yeah, I've seen Samoa Joe lose to Roman Reigns a million times by now. But I keep waiting for the, like the next thing. When's it going to be? When are they going to just push him? Maybe he, initially when he was hired, the report was that Samoa Joe would be he would be permanently on NXT. And maybe that's what they should have done, because having him on the main roster and having him just kind of fart around and just be a supporting cast member, it's just
doesn't make sense.
It's just a huge missed opportunity. The whole entire thing with Samoa Joe is just a gigantic missed opportunity. And this had nothing to do with Legends. It was just there. All right, Miz TV next with special guest Seth Rollins. When I saw that they had Miz TV and A Moment of Bliss on the same show tonight, I was like, okay, this is just going to be a crummy show.
Yeah, I listen, I feel like we should go through this quickly. And the only reason why I say this is because this was just such a, bad showing for Seth Rollins. I mean...
Well, yeah, it definitely was. Okay, so let's just go. Yeah, we'll go through it quickly. But it does recover. I will just say that. Miz brings him out. He puts over Miz and Mrs. coming back tomorrow night.
Tune in, everyone.
Tune in. Make sure you tune in for Victoria, and everybody report back in 2 weeks what you thought of it.
Chef Irvine will be on tomorrow night.
So yes. So video package is Brock Lesnar beating Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules, and we come back from that video package, and Seth Rollins is laughing because losing your title isn't serious. Rollins mocks how Paul Heyman says Brock Lesnar. He goes, Brock Lesnar. And he's doing these things, and he's gesticulating and making these faces and talking about, oh, he has a red head and this and that. And he's dying. He's absolutely dying doing this crap comedy. Oh, my God. And then and then later on, you'll see Stone Cold Steve Austin come out and just riff, no script. And you can see the difference of why people are over and why they don't get over because of these crappy scripted promos.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Rollins says that Lesnar doesn't want to who wouldn't want to be Lesnar? Well, I don't want to be Lesnar. In fact, Lesnar is a Rollins wannabe. So that Paul Heyman's shown backstage, and he says he's Seth Rollins' dose of reality. Heyman says Rollins will see himself when he looks in the mirror, but when Lesnar looks in the mirror, he sees the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion. And before Rollins says anything, Heyman reminds him, finally, this is another thing that was a glaring plot hole here, is that Rollins was all indignant about Brock Lesnar cashing in Money in the Bank without challenging him, when Rollins did the same thing to him at WrestleMania 31. So Heyman reminds him that he did the exact same thing to Lesnar with the Money in the Bank. And Rollins says, you know what, I did, and it took 4 years for Lesnar to return the favor. Heyman comes out on stage, Rollins starting to stomp him through, and now this thing's starting to pick up. So Rollins says for the past 20 years, Heyman has built up Lesnar as a beast and a conqueror, but that's just not true. Lesnar is a man, and any man can lose, and at SummerSlam, he'll face Lesnar for the Universal Championship, and Lesnar will lose. And I was like, you know what? This started off as bad as any piece of WWE comedy, and I thought that actually Rollins and Heyman kind of pulled it together for the end.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I kind of don't. I don't think it was as strong. I don't have the same feeling that it was as strong as you're saying.
Okay.
It kind of wasn't horrible at the end, but I'm not going to say it was strong.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. But you know what? I got to say, like, that's one thing I really hope just changes slowly, just slowly start implementing in going back to bullet points, because you can this is why people tune in for the legends, because they got over with just bullet points and personality.
Exactly.
And they can't figure out that since they went to scripted promos that no one's getting over the way they used to. They can't figure that out. That's incredible.
I know.
And then you let Steve Austin go out there and just, hey, Steve, go out there and just cut a promo. And he goes out and cuts a promo, and it's incredible. And it just reminds you of like how, it's like nostalgia is it's supposed to be a time to reminisce, but it's also something like to look forward, like looking to the future. And unfortunately, with wrestling nostalgia, it kind of makes you sad because it's just not the way it used to be.
Yes.
And I hate this. I hate to put it that way. That's the only way I can put it. It's just not what it used to be.
It's not at all. And there was such a huge difference between Seth Rollins and Stone Cold tonight. It's like,
obviously.
But the proof is in the pudding, though.
Right.
It's like, it's really here as a prime example of you have a legend and you have one of your top stars. Wrestling, yeah, up to par.
Yeah.
Promos, absolutely not.
Right.
Steve Austin had the whole package. That's why he was the face of the company for so long.
Yeah.
That's why he was one of the leaders of the Attitude Era.
He was the Attitude Era. Yeah.
So, hello.
he's the biggest star they ever had. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's just kind of just really kind of sobering when you really look and when you really take a close examination of it. Okay, I thought they closed strong, but whatever. We go back to the Legends Suite, and for whatever reason, nobody mentioned it on air, but there's Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan's daughter, just there backstage with Jimmy Hart. So I guess she's also a legend, which. Funny enough, she was involved in the feud with Randy Orton and Hulk Hogan in 2006 SummerSlam. So I guess that's kind of like full circle for my entire week. Sami Zayn walks up and says these people aren't legends. They're people that happen to be there at the time. It's like watching the Attitude Era through the Face app. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Rey Mysterio walks up. And of course, I see Rey Mysterio. I'm like, why do they even have him signed to the company? He was doing just fine and being treated with total respect, and now because he's 40 something, he's just done. He's done. Like, why? I don't even know why they have him. Anyway, he says, you should show respect to the people who paved the road for you. And Zayn says, I'll pave the road right through you. So Kurt Angle comes up
and can make a match.
And he goes, when I was general manager of Raw, we used to settle things in the ring. So Angle essentially made the match. Okay. Kelly, backstage. She's bumps into Candice Michelle, and Melina is also there, standing there with Naomi. So I guess they just have to have their token person from the current roster there. Melina says, I just got my license, and she takes off her jacket to reveal that she's a referee. Kelly's confused. Candice attacks Kelly and pins her to win the 24/7 championship, and she dances around, and like I don't know what the hell she was wearing, but it was pretty skimpy. And then Alundra Blaze comes up, chokes out Candice to win the title, and Blaze botches her line. She goes, I'm the 24
title.
I have the 24 title, and I won't be champion for very long. But I initially thought that when she said she won't be champion for very long, that was a botch, but it later on made sense. But anyway, the commentary was like, I don't think Alundra Blaze knew what the hell she was talking about. She doesn't even know what title she won.
I'm going to go on a small tangent.
Okay.
There's way more important things to talk about with this show.
Okay. Real quick, I just want to say this is Alundra Blaze's first appearance on Raw since 1995.
I don't care.
She's the original diva.
I don't care. I really don't care.
But okay, let's hear tangent time.
Tangent time. Okay. The reason why I was so angry at this is because this is actual evidence of how far we've come. This last October, we had a phenomenal Evolution pay-per-view where we had an all-women's pay-per-view, and I can't say that there was really one match where I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst match of all time. That was actually a very successful pay-per-view overall, and look how far we come. This is what the company used to be, of what this stupid little thing with Kelly, Candice Michelle, and Melina, and Alundra Blaze or whatever. This was just awful. I'm sorry. And this is like, why was this even on the show? I don't even know. I mean, yeah, okay, to get somebody a title and, whatever, and bring back these women and whatnot, but this is why it was so bad in the past. And I hate being reminded of the fact that, like, stop setting us back. These women just set you back for like 2 whole minutes of my life. Then I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay. You got all that from that 24/7 championship.
It was
segment.
because you can't
I know.
botch lines like that. And this was like, the epitome of the women's era at one point. Like they were not able to cut any promos, do any type of segments, and their wrestling sucked.
Well, to be fair, Alundra Blaze in her prime was good. That's before they had everybody. That's before Sunny. She's before Sunny. That's how old Alundra Blaze is. And Sunny was a long time ago.
Hey, but even the other ones were stupid.
I'm not disagreeing.
And I know Kelly is like not saying never to not coming back. She wouldn't fit in now, though.
Kelly, oh my God, no. God,
she wouldn't fit in now.
No.
Because she was during a time of when matches were like a minute long. And you could rely on your looks.
Kelly couldn't even hit the ropes. That's all I remember about her. All right, Jonathan Coachman. Apparently he's a legend, and he's going to be on commentary because we have to have Jonathan Coachman on commentary because we need to relive that, right? Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn. They had a nothing match. In fact, I thought before the Legends came out, I was like, God, this is like easily one of the worst matches I've seen either of them have, and they're having it together. They botch a DDT. They're just kind of clunking through things. Rey Mysterio has faced some of the best of all time and had some great matches through the years. Sami Zayn is capable of having great match after great match. These two had no chemistry together at all on this night. And Rey Mysterio goes for 619. Zayn gets out of the ring. Zayn goes to walk off, but Rob Van Dam's music cuts him off. RVD of Impact Wrestling comes out, stops Zayn. And then he's joined by Sergeant Slaughter, the Hurricane, and Kurt Angle. And I was like, well, what do any of these people have anything to do with the other? Like, why is RVD standing alongside the Hurricane and Sergeant Slaughter and Kurt Angle? Like what? Why this pairing of legends? I was just like, as they were walking down, I was just like, why? Why is this happening?
I can't tell you why.
I don't know. Anyway, so they scare Zayn back into the ring. He takes a 619, and then Mysterio does RVD's taunt, frog splash, and picks up the win. So, Legends doing stuff. At least it's nice to see that Impact can make a deal and let RVD come over here.
Yeah, that was
But
nice.
God, this makes Impact look so lame because RVD was treated. Well, he is. He's a 50-year-old dude, still wearing the stuff he wore 20 years ago, and. Like they treated him like he's an old guy and let him stand there with the old guys, and RVD didn't get involved in anything. And he's a featured guy in Impact Wrestling, so I don't know what that says about Impact.
Listen.
But actually, RVD's very presence there led to a great little vignette with the Street Profits later on. So we'll talk about that. We go backstage. We see Ric Flair pull out of a limousine, and Flair. I don't know what he was doing last night, but he had a big cut on his forehead right here. So I don't know if Flair was in the bar drinking and he decided to blade himself. But that's pretty much what it looked like. Anyway, we got Montez Ford looking for Angelo Dawkins backstage of the Street Profits. Ford is seen using eye drops and coughing because it's implied that he was just smoking weed with Rob Van Dam. So this felt very much like a Paul Heyman segment already. Dawkins talks about the legends he's seen, Mark Henry in the bathroom singing, popping champagne, all this and that. And Ford is just like, what? Really? Oh, my God. And then Dawkins takes a call from the Godfather and walks off, and Montez Ford is jealous. Dawkins takes the call. So that it was a funny segment. I really like these things with the Street Profits.
Yeah.
And I'm just guessing at TakeOver Toronto, they're probably going to wind up losing the NXT Tag Team Championships because the Undisputed Era is going for all the gold.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking, it's going to be, Roderick Strong probably going over in Velveteen Dream to win the North American title. Adam Cole keeps the title, and the rest of the Undisputed Era wins the Tag Team Championships. So, but that'll send the Street Profits up to the main roster, and God, that they are just.
I'm not mad at that.
They are charisma times 100.
Yeah.
And again, these aren't things that you can script. So I believe that they had. It seems like they have free reign. To do their
I agree with you.
thing,
I agree with you.
Which is amazing.
Again, proof that it works when you just give somebody the opportunity to talk on their behalf and without a script.
Right.
So good job to them.
Good deal. Okay, now we go back to the stage. Alundra Blaze comes out and she says, "I told you I wouldn't be 24/7 champion for long." And she goes to throw the 24/7 championship in the garbage like she did to the WWE Women's Championship in 1995 on Monday Night Nitro. I don't know. Like, I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, it's a joke title, but like, you know, like even threatening to throw it in the garbage is like so silly. And then the $1 Million Man comes out. Ted DiBiase buys the championship, his second championship purchase in WWE, and he's now the 24/7 champion. Ted DiBiase. And that was a segment. It was a segment.
Nice wording, hon.
That's
That's great.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
We got Jerry the King Lawler. He'll be on commentary for the next match, which is AJ Styles with the OC versus Seth Rollins. And again, just legends doing things. I personally, like, you know how Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns had their match with no legend involvement? AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, I don't want to see legend involvement. I just want to see AJ Styles and Seth Rollins have a damn good match.
I 100% agree with you on that. Again, stop taking my words. That is exactly what I was going to say. There's no reason for any involvement at all. Let them have a match.
Right.
Let these two go at it.
Right.
No reason.
Instead, we have D-Generation X come out with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Like, what's in it for them to stand with Rollins?
Absolutely.
I don't get it.
I know.
And another missed opportunity in this match was it was sponsored by Burger King. Burger King. Jerry the King Lawler is on commentary. If we're going to do Raw reunion.
Wow.
Like, we got to go back to the Burger King
good
jokes.
Thinking.
We got to go back to the Burger King jokes.
Good
Jerry
job.
Lawler. Oh, my God.
That was good.
Like, I was like, like literally they said this match is, by the way, sponsored by Burger King, and there was no jabs at Jerry Lawler whatsoever. I was like, come on. He used to be he used to throw crowns at him, the Burger King crowns.
No, that would have been so good.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I remember the chants of Burger King, Burger King. Well, anyway, this match, at least, a commercial did happen during it, but I think they paused the match because DX was there, and then they came back from the break and they started just punching, so whatever. Anyway, Seth Rollins wins by disqualification when the OC attacks, so Triple H and Shawn Michaels clear the OC from the ring, and then the OC gets back in the ring, and they want to do too sweet with them, and then DX gives them the suck it sign, and then they brawl, or first they brawl, or whatever it is, and then they clear them from the ring. Then they grab some chairs. That brings out Road Dogg, X-Pac, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, who I can't even believe still walks. He's so feeble looking. Hall and Nash wearing NWO colors. Road Dogg introduces everybody. Does get a funny line in there about Billy Gunn not being there. So Billy Gunn works for AEW now. And then they let Rollins do the, if you're not down with that, we've got 2 words for you. But the crowd was quiet during this, and they were just kind of fumbling and bumbling. After Road Dogg finished his thing, like, nothing happened. They're all just kind of standing there, and the crowd isn't cheering. The crowd's doing nothing, and they're like kind of like waiting for somebody to say something, and then it just kind of ended.
You want to know why I think that is? Because
it's just so stupid.
Well, that, and I think because you've seen DX a lot recently. Like, you know, even they're not on the roster every single week or anything like that, but they were inducted this year, and Shawn Michaels comes back intermittently.
Right. Well, like, they also fought at Crown Jewel.
Right. So I just think that like the hype for them is just like not, you know, it's not as intense. It's because they're, you know what I mean? Like they're shown on a regular basis.
Right.
So I think that's why.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that and it just really, like, at this point we like enough shoehorning legends, you know, just randomly into things. Like, I think the crowd also paid to see some wrestling as well. So
that's what Billy and I were saying before too.
So just let them see some freaking wrestling.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do. All right. We got Mark Henry backstage talking to Mick Foley. That was Mark Henry's only thing he did on the show, was just talking in some vignette with Mick Foley. Nothing. We see Ted DiBiase walking around the 24/7 championship. He's the 7th champion of the night. He gets in a limousine. Noises are heard inside the limousine, and a 3 count. Drake Maverick emerges with the 24/7 championship. Renee Michelle walks up, gets in the limousine. He says, finally, we can consummate our marriage, and he's chased away by Raw superstars. That's what happens. Okay. Mick Foley's in the ring when the scrum of superstars and Maverick run in. Foley goes after Maverick in the most feeble way possible. He goes, come to Papa, or something like that. And then Maverick easily escapes the lumbering fat Mick Foley. And we move on. Foley talks about the great times he had on Raw and shows footage of him winning the WWF Championship in 1999. All of a sudden, the power goes out, the lights flicker, and the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is in the ring. And the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, uses Mick Foley's mandible claw to put Mick Foley down. And finally, at long last, they used a legend in an effective way tonight. Giving Bray Wyatt the mandible claw is a great move if that is what they're going to make his finisher.
Yes.
Because that's an easy to do finisher. It's devastating if done correctly. You know, it looks really good and stuff like that. So to put Mick Foley down, Mick Foley was the only legend who really got taken out in a real sense tonight. You know, not in a goofy way like the 24/7 title, but like Mick Foley, who's not even allowed to take bumps anymore, did more to put over a superstar than any of the other legends.
And that's what we
tonight.
want. That's what Billy and I kind of wanted more, was more of this.
Yeah.
Legends and the current roster coming together, and it's still part of the storyline.
Right. Like Seth Rollins being the lackey to DX tonight isn't really putting him over.
It's not.
It's a cute little thing, and I'm sure, you know, it was a big mark out moment for Seth, but like, what did it do for Seth?
It didn't do anything
but
overall.
This actually makes Bray Wyatt look like a killer. You know, killing like one of the nicest guys in wrestling, Mick Foley, with his own finisher, and maybe stealing his finishing move. That's an effective way to put somebody over. That was very effective. So good. Okay, we get a moment of bliss. This was not long at all, and I thought very, very effective.
Yes.
Becky Lynch, before she can say anything, Natalia's music hits. And Natalya says, if you have anything to say to me, you can say it to my face. And Natalya says, you know, I met you 14 years ago in Japan, and I just can't believe how badly you disrespected me last week. And Lynch says, we may have been friends, but when I came up here, you tried to cut my legs out from under me when I debuted. And you even trained Ronda Rousey to try to help her beat me in the main event of WrestleMania. Well, this title is the scalp of the baddest woman on the planet, and I'm going to beat your ass or whatever in Canada. And they start brawling, and that was it. I was like, good. Natalya, because Natalya can't talk, so just get these things over as quickly as possible, and it was very effective. A very, very good story was told there.
Absolutely. It was quick, it was simple, and I really actually enjoyed it. I was like, wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Nafisa Dot, no Balor feud, I imagine. I do think that they are going to still do Bray Wyatt versus the Demon, even though Balor wasn't on the show tonight. You know, there was a lot of people that weren't on the show tonight. Baron Corbin, Lacey Evans, they weren't on the show tonight.
Isn't Balor taking a break too? So maybe
Balor will be taking a break, but they do. According to reports, he is working through until SummerSlam. So
maybe they're just not working some Raws right now, but they're gonna save it for when he has his feud with Strowman.
Technically, he's a SmackDown guy anyway.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, moving on. It was a good segment. Actually, the last couple segments were really good. You know, this moment of bliss thing, the Mick Foley thing with the Fiend, Charlie Caruso backstage with Natalya, and Natalya says that she's going to give Becky Lynch the ass whipping of a lifetime. Drake Maverick getting in a limousine when R-Truth rolls him up. R-Truth jumps in the limo and drives off with Maverick's wife and the title. So R-Truth is now again the 24/7 champion. That's the 8th title switch of the night. Good stuff, fun. I think 8th or 10th or
something.
I lost count.
I lost count too.
Braun Strowman in the ring with this jobber named Randy Rowe, and he murders him. And Braun even says, "Don't blink, because this isn't going to last long." He kills him and then slams him for the win. I love a good Braun Strowman squash match.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of the name for a second. Could have used some help there, but it was fun. I like seeing Braun Strowman crush.
Absolutely, it's what they're doing with the Viking Raiders, just having these squash matches,
right. And we need to get back to that too.
Absolutely,
that's another guy who wasn't on the show tonight was Bobby Lashley.
Yeah,
too. Yeah, so there's a lot of things, for that. A lot of guys that weren't on the show tonight to make way for the legends. Anyway, we have Nature Boy Ric Flair come out. He just kind of struts around. The legends from the Raw reunion join him on stage, and they very noting that they didn't give Ric Flair a microphone tonight. They gave Hulk Hogan a microphone. They gave Steve Austin a live microphone. They would not give Ric Flair a live microphone.
I'm not
He's
surprised.
He's a little crazy right now.
Yes, and I'm actually surprised he was on the show.
Me too.
Because the way that he's been in the media lately, and he's been just going on these rampages and these tangents in public, he will talk to anybody. A random person at the bar, he will literally talk to anyone.
There is footage of Ric Flair in bars drinking, and I'm like, God, some guys will just never learn. Look at all the stuff that he's gone through. He almost died because he drinks too much. The heart. He just had another heart operation recently, and then while he was all hopped up on medicine, he started whoever was filming him, extremely terrible person. Ric Flair should get that person out of his life immediately, and then uploading them on YouTube. Because Ric Flair is now being sued by his ex-lawyer for defaming the person on one of his YouTube things.
Yes.
Rick he's not good right now. He's
not in a good state of mind.
He's not in good shape whatsoever.
So I really think at this point, it was a little risky.
Harley Race is in really rough shape right now. I think Ric Flair is worse than we actually can even imagine.
Yeah, and I think
sad to say.
It was very risky to put him out there, even without a microphone.
Right.
Because you never know what he's going to do.
No.
So
it's just, oh, yay. I understand why they didn't do it, though. They send Hulk Hogan out there. He does his posing, and then he says, I'm sorry to steal something from McFoley, but, we're right here in my hometown of Tampa, Florida. He says, basically what you're going to do when Hulkamania runs wild on you. I've had some great times in Tampa. They could have brought out Brutus Bar Beefcake with him, too, since Hulk Hogan's entire speech was talking about how Brutus was Hogan's bitch. Yeah, that's a great Hall of Fame intro. Yeah, Hogan. Hogan and Flair pose on the stage, and then Steve Austin comes out to an enormous pop.
Oh.
Just an absolutely oh my God, in a massive, massive pop. Nobody's more over than Steve Austin is. He blasts right through the line of legends and gets in the ring, poses on all four turnbuckles, drinks some beer, soaks in the applause, tells them to give him a hell yeah. They do. It's not good enough. He asks again. That's not good enough. And he says, I think you're having a hard time hearing me. Give me a hell yeah. And they get, and literally it just gets, somehow it gets louder and louder each time.
I know.
Only he can do that. It's incredible what I saw. He says it's good to be back in Tampa. I remember being here when times were lean, driving up and down the roads and learning, craft. But I'm not here to be sappy. All the people on the stage have shed blood, sweat, tears, nearly crapped and pissed themselves, driving up and down the roads. I'm like, this is getting amazing already. From them to the ring crew and everyone involved in production, they're family. The crowd is family. Everybody watching at home is family. Austin, then Austin just starts riffing. He tells a story, and yeah, these may seem like just random stories, but they kind of quantify what Raw Reunion is all about and puts everybody over at the same time. Austin tells a story of hanging out with Hulk Hogan for the first time, drinking beer, doing podcasts, and then eating sushi. And he talks about how he stayed up all night drinking every beer in the bar, listening to Ric Flair tell stories. Then this morning, he gets here, he runs into Ron Simmons, and he cuts him to the punch and says, damn, and then Ron says, damn, and then they hug for 30 seconds to the point where maybe people thought they had something going on, which was a hilarious line. A little, colorful, but it was funny. The bottom line is that none of this would have happened without Raw Reunion. Austin loves everyone and thanks them. The legends get in the ring. Austin proposes a toast to Raw and the United States of America. And they're all posing. It's this really nice little feel-good moment. They're all just posing in the ring. And then people are saying Austin ran out of time. He didn't. He was, everybody's kind of cheering and toasting. And then Austin's like, you know what? We still have another few more minutes left. Let me just say something else. He finds out that he only has a minute left, and he looks at Gerald Briscoe, and he goes, I remember being in South Africa with Gerald Briscoe, and we were doing stuff that may have been illegal in the United States, but and that was funny. And then he goes, but he's doing all this and he knows he has a minute left and he's so calm, cool, and collected. And he goes, I was a little nervous to come out here tonight. I didn't know what I was going to say. Raw reunion. And Jonathan Coachman told me to just be myself, and that's what I did. He won't be writing any Christmas cards or any shit like that. And he got bleeped out for shit. But this was great. Awesome toast, everyone, to close the show. And this was just, look, this is why it's like, like these things are always good to pop a rating, but they also kind of remind everybody, like, this, like, wrestling isn't this anymore. And yeah, this is the stuff that, makes people still want to watch. We're not giving that to you because we have to control and script everything. Yeah. It's kind of, it just makes me sad at the end of these shows because it's like, wow, like, no, we'll never see a Steve Austin again in the way that the show is currently being produced. No, and it's when I was a kid, I watched certain things during the Attitude Era, and then I wasn't allowed to watch because I was about like 9 years old. My parents really didn't want me watching, but I would catch glimpses of certain things, but now that I have the network, and I'm going through the Raws with you, and I'm going through this time, and it's amazing because I'm still like technically a recent fan. You know what I mean? Like I'm over the past 8 years or so, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't watch during this time, like all the time. So it's kind of disheartening when you see like there's certain things that I enjoyed in the past 8 years, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. But things were even more awesome during that time, right? And I have to kind of relive through those old superstars, and it's like, damn. I wish I got to really, like, have somebody like a Steve Austin who's now. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I wish that you could have enjoyed that when it was fresh and, and new. But, it's just kind of sobering, like. But it's also because the environment, it's also the society we live in too, unfortunately, I think. Yeah. I mean, it's a PG company now. It's just different. But you can have a PG company and still and not have to script every single freaking promo. Agreed. Like PG, that's a crutch to say like, oh well, look at how everything's going. We got all these we're making all this revenue and yeah, but you know what? Like engagement's down. Like people aren't connecting with these people, and John Cena was really the last one to really be able to do that. And when he went away, it's like now all we have are people that only know how to cut scripted promos, and no one's connecting with anybody in a real sense. Characters just aren't there because they're not developing because these people don't live the character. They act like a badass on TV, and then they go home and they're just like, "Oh, hi, I'm Nick, I'm Mike," and this and that. Like what? They're not living these promos. Like Steve Austin is Steve Williams, but just turned up to 11. Mankind was Mick Foley turned up to 11, after he got out of the Hannibal Lecter thing. The Rock is Dwayne Johnson turned up to 100. I think you're going to think I'm crazy, but I think social media is a huge part of it. There's very few people who actually are still their character on their social media. Right. And it kind of hurts them a little bit, Well, yeah. No, but what I'm saying is because they're not their character. I mean, there's certain people. Think about it. When Kurt Angle did the video segment for us, oh, it's true, it's damn true. That was for 3rd and 4th graders. Right, yeah. But his manager even said Kurt Angle's always going to be Kurt Angle. Yeah. That prime example, he is Kurt Angle. That's his character, and he doesn't know when to not be Kurt Angle. Mm-hmm. Right. Daniel Shaw, Attitude Era was overrated in my opinion, but it was the characters that made it. Yeah, no. I'm not advocating for the Attitude Era one way or the other. I'm just saying that scripted promos are crap. Yeah. And, while the wrestling in the Attitude Era and the stuff that they were doing wasn't always the greatest, and a lot of it gets romanticized through the years, the fact was that everybody there, from top to bottom, everybody had a character. You knew what everybody's purpose was. Character, yeah. Dolph Ziggler's been around for 12 years doing his thing. What's a Dolph Ziggler? And we don't know what the hell Dolph Ziggler's purpose is. We don't know what he does. We don't know why he exists. What is the drive of his character? I don't know. It just, it is what it is. It's Steve Austin comes out and shows everybody why scripted promos suck, and next week we'll go back to a show with all scripted promos, and everybody will be still trying to figure out why no one's getting over. And then you'll have Seth Rollins come out and do Brock Lesnar, and no one laughs. And, well, why is Seth Rollins getting diminished reactions every week? And we'll just it's like it's like the what do they call that, the guy with dementia walking into a whorehouse. He can't figure out why he keeps getting screwed. It's like that's what Vince McMahon is. That's what the WWE is right now. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over again, expecting a different result every time. That's the definition of insanity. So I think, at the very least, just start slowly letting people cut some promos. Just see what happens. Do it in a controlled segment, a controlled thing backstage. Don't even do it for the live cameras. Just let it go backstage first, and then let them get comfortable with that. And then on house shows, start acclimating, and everybody does a promo before their match or whatever. Anything just to get this thing going. I think if I'm Paul Heyman, I'm advocating for that. If I'm Eric Bischoff, I'm advocating for that, because that is one of the glaring issues with this entire program, and that's my big takeaway from Raw Reunion.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at the Twitter poll real quick. See what everybody thinks of the show. It is at 65% thumbs up, and I agree with it. I thought some of the usage of legends was a little stupid at times, but for the most part, I can't give a show with Steve Austin doing his thing a thumbs down. So this is one of those things I give a thumbs up only because I usually don't like to take like a beginning of the show or the end of the show perspective, but it really started strong, it ended strong, and there were a few things in between that I really enjoyed. So that's why I'm giving it a thumbs up overall. Yeah, absolutely. Thumbs up. Thanks, Steve, for reminding us why wrestling can be good, even if the powers that be refuse to allow it to be. All right. With that, I think we can put a bow on this. I want to thank everybody for sticking around with us. We went long tonight, but hey, it's Raw Reunion. We got to go in deep on this one. Okay, a lot of stuff to talk about. I thought you and I had some good discussion tonight about it. I agree. And the chat room has been lively the entire time. So thank you everybody for sticking with us. Reminder that we will not be on the air next week. Post Raw will not be here. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We are going to be celebrating our anniversary next week, so we'll check you out when we get back. Okay. Make sure you check out Wrestleview Weekly with Doug Lackey this Wednesday. I'm sure he'll be talking about this Raw, SmackDown, and all the great news of the week. If there is any good news of the week, we will see. All right. With that, I want to thank everybody again. Michonne Walls gives it a thumbs up. Quentin gives it 69 thumbs up. Good stuff. All right. I'm Mike Tedesco.
I'm Victoria Tedesco. Have a good week, everyone.
Have a good week. 2 weeks. Have a good 2 weeks, and we'll see you then. Be well. Bye.